The world. My name is Q2-2023, and I am your host for these NGO Radio Terra free lessons for all levels and all ages. I am your host, like I said, Q2-2023, and I want to give a big thanks to my friends down in Brazil, where the home base of NGO Radio Terra is. They're a wonderful non-for-profit organization that works with amazing musicians in Brazil and all over the world to spread awareness about the healing possibilities of music and all about the great rhythm codes of Brazil. And that's where I step in. I'm a drummer. I've been playing for 30 years. I went to school in New York City. I've been playing professionally since I was 11 years old. And I've played with Big Daddy Kane, Slick Rick, Reggie Workman, Billy Hart, Logan Richardson, Felicia Ross, Shira Elias, Big Yuki, Brandy Younger, to name a lot. I am tasked with the challenge of creating a curriculum that suits all ages. So we're going to be going through different things at all levels, but I hope that when I go if you're like an experienced or professional drummer, I hope that when we go through some of the fundamental things, you appreciate the fact that we're going through them as fundamentals, not necessarily something to bore you, right? So if you're just beginning to play the drums today, I want to let you know that you don't have to own a drum set yet to be able to play a beat. And I think if you're rhythmically inclined, and you can do a two-step, as in 1, 2, if you're at the barbecue, if you're hanging out with your friends, if you're at the bar, you hear a nice little song come on, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. So tap your right foot on 1 and 3, and slap your leg or slap your chest or snap your fingers on 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now, so you don't look so crazy, don't slap your leg so hard. So just rock on 1 and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I were to put sticks in my hand, it's going to look like this. 1 and 3 is in my right side, and 2 and 4 is in my left side. Okay? So 1 and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay? We just applied that sort of body movement, dance-like two-step into a groove. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We can do different variations of that if you want to move your body a different way. 1 and 2. I'm doing my shoulder shimmy. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. So if you could do a shoulder shimmy, what would that be? 1 and 2 and 3 Okay, so it's super. I'm gonna talk a little bit louder because I know that these mics are picking me up. So, by the way, if you have any questions, concerns, please speak up in the comments. Okay. So yes, the groove applied to the body. I think, and many do, who are trusted voices on the drum set, say that if you can sing it or dance it, you can play it, and I'm a firm believer in that. Another thing we're going to be going over is the use of metronome. So I use the metronome as a way to temper my own position in time. I use the metronome to check myself and see if I'm playing in the pocket. I use the metronome to see what BPM any given song that I'm learning is, all right? So I use the metronome to perfect my rudiments and make sure that they're in time. And I think ultimately the study of playing good time is making sure that the space between each beat is the same, right? So going going through these subdivisions with a metronome will help. So and taking all those, I guess you'd call them rudiments, all those stickings through like every tempo would essentially get all of the rhythms that you're playing even. It would make them more balanced. Make your strokes more balanced. It would make the space in between more balanced. So one of the techniques that I use for that is to listen to the decay of anything. So a cymbal is the easiest thing to do this experiment with. So here we go. I'm gonna put my hand up when I hear the cymbal is finally decayed all the way. Let's try another one. Okay, so if we repeat that in time, technically and mathematically, that would be creating perfect time. So as I'm swinging, I'm literally imagining each cymbal beat decaying before I play the next one. So another more clear example is even the oft not perfected buzz roll or press roll. Okay, this is a super important rudiment because it's sort of a lost art. People should play this rudiment more. It's got tremendous utility in all forms of music, particularly within swing or what they call jazz music. So I'm going to use bounces, buzzes on the snare drum to create a press roll, and I'm going to aim to not let the buzz die. So I'm going to pass the buzz from stick to stick before the buzz dies. So here's the buzz. That's the buzz being dead. Okay, here's the next stick. Okay, I have an easier time creating a buzz with my right hand than I do my left hand, so I have to work a little extra hard with the left hand. The technique for this press roll that I saw Philly Joe Jones use is that, I think I also saw Roy Haynes use this technique as well, is that they move across or up and down or in circles on the drum head and create a stirring effect. All right, so I'm gonna play it with the metronome so you can hear what I'm doing, and then I'm gonna play it without. so as you can see, I'm taking it through the same subdivision exercise that I demonstrated before, but everything is a buzz, and the buzzes need to connect in order to create that effect. You know, it's almost like starting a car, you know, starting a motorcycle. You hear the space in between the first pumps of the carburetor or whatever that is, right? And then it starts to connect together, and then the motor just whirs. The motor just goes, it runs together. You don't hear any of the pistons firing. You don't hear the sound separate. You don't hear the motor's components running separately. You hear the whole motor running as a whole. Okay, so let's take this metronome concept and let's spread it out a little bit across a wider idea that every quarter note in the metronome, right, let me slow it down. Every one of these beats, let's call them quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 is a whole stick. So from here to here, this is the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we play in the center of the beat, which is my main goal all the time, is to place my beats in the center of the metronome. Not behind, not in front, but right in the center. You know, sometimes it's not as extreme as, but sometimes it's, you know, so we really want to be right there, nice and relaxed. So the example of that is, So my goal is to pay attention to every single quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every one of those. Every time I am thinking about placing this kick and placing this cymbal right in the center of the beat. Right here. Not here or here. So showing you an example of playing a beat really behind, all of the elements really behind would sound like this. As opposed to, right, so that's in the center. So I'm going to play in the center. This is the center. This is behind. That's the center. This is behind. Alright? Now, ahead of the beat sounds even more weird, so. Okay? Take a little sip of water. As a drummer, don't forget to stay hydrated, always. Remember to be patient with yourself. As a musician, when we stay learning, right? I've been a professional since I was 11, but never once have I ever stopped learning and considered myself a student. So, just something for you to think about, especially because when you start commenting and when you start really interacting with me and you share some of your life experiences as a musician, even as a beginner musician, I can learn something. So in a sense, I can study with you. And I got that philosophy from the great Jabali Billy Hart, one of my mentors. I've been so blessed to have great music teachers and mentors in my life, and I wish to share all of that knowledge that they passed on to me, to you. So I want to talk real quick about the inventions of the producer, musician, visionary James Yancey, aka J Dilla, aka JD. And he pioneered something that is really important to acknowledge about time. And that is that the way that he placed his hi-hats, and this is just one of the many things that makes this person great, but the way he placed his hi-hats just behind the beat, but in the same place every time. So consistently behind the beat while other elements of the groove were right on the beat, changed the groove forever. So this is a great example of showing how time can be played with and used and perfected. So I'm going to put everything in the center. Here we go. Okay, that's not what J Dilla did. What J Dilla did was he put the hi-hats just back in time a little bit, so the hi-hats drag a little bit. So right, that's right in the center. This is J Dilla. Right? Everybody else, J Dilla. Woo! It feels so good. And what's so interesting about it is that you can see the difference in my body language. When I put that hi-hat back a little bit, the hump gets crazy. it's all about placement. And I'm aware of all of my placement. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I can impart to you, that what professional drummers recognize in novice drummers is that lack of attention to placement, okay, and a lack of upbeats. So one thing that's really important to understand is that creating rhythmic interest in what you do is super important. And if you're just a beginning drummer for this particular part of the conversation, stick with us, because this is important. But this is really for all of my professionals out there. It's like, and of course, you know, I say this to myself all the time, but more upbeats, more upbeats, more upbeats. There's a big difference between this right and you know, I guess maybe the first example is better for a verse, or better for the intro of a solo, or better for starting out an idea, but upbeats enhance the soloist, or upbeats enhance the vibe. So it should be more like, okay? So I'm not saying to just create arbitrary beats anywhere, right? Harold Sumley Jr., the great drummer from Alexandria, Virginia, he taught me to play basic time and remember that the left hand and the right foot and the left foot have to be active at some point. But being able to play really good time without playing a bunch of nonsense that isn't correlated or isn't related to anything musically happening is a bad habit to get into. So remember, lots of upbeats if you want to be professional, if you want to make it sound professional, if you want to give it that flair that music needs. But remember that it should only be played when there's something to play it to. So you know, an example would be to put on a record and play some upbeats against the what the drummer's already playing. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get into a little bit of call and answer, because call and answer is a musical concept that is super present in improvisational music. It's super present in dancing. It's super present in the rhythm codes of all African rhythms, and of course everything is African. Everything comes from that. So I'm gonna play 4 bars, and then you're gonna play 4 bars. You can play anything you want in your 4 bars, and I can play anything I want in my 4 bars. And we're gonna do it to the metronome so we can keep it solid.